Demonstrators nationwide are protesting, defying social distancing orders and calling for an end to coronavirus lockdowns. People are running low on savings and money, and if they don't get back to work soon, then they will lose all of their possessions. Dr. Ron Paul wrote a recent article where he asks the question, what if the lockdown was a giant mistake? What if the cure is worse than the disease? Countries like Sweden that did not lock down their economy and place the population under house arrest are faring no worse than countries that did. Sweden's deaths per million from coronavirus is lower than in many lockdown countries. What if the stimulus money had been used instead to care for the elderly in nursing homes who statistically are the most affected? This has been a fiasco since day one. Once politicians become involved in any crisis situation, the outcome is a foregone conclusion. Total mayhem and disaster. The lockdown was not simply a mistake, but a well-thought-out attack on our civil liberties and freedoms. On our economy and on our health. If you want to know who committed the crime, simply ask who benefits the most from it. The answer to that is Bill Gates. The virus will return, and we cannot shut down economies each time it does. We should never have shut down economies this time around. Quarantine could have been done without shutting down the entire economies of states. Stay home and stay safe while we take over your life and ruin it, destroy the currency and world economy, the world markets, and plot how to implement ID 2020 for the UN in order to track your every movement 24 hours a day because we're paranoid. When China was under quarantine, they lost a huge amount of revenue because they were not producing. Now they must sell their US Treasuries holdings to support their economy. Now that the USA is in quarantine, they don't have the income to purchase and consume, meaning they need to issue more debt to make up for the lost revenue. This creates the next problem, and that is issuing too much of a currency without production behind it. How is that country going to be successful in paying back debts and ensuring its market in the future? This is why the whole world economy is dead. There is no real production. America. Endless food lines, deaths of despair, wages gone, a tiny stipend from the Fed. New World Order planned for years under the right crisis. Fear is the political currency of the 21st century. The public was deliberately misled, misinformed, and scared into going along with the worst train wreck ever. They changed the definition of an emergency, purposely closing down humanity's small and medium-sized businesses martial law style. Small business alone employs 70% of the workers. Instant collapse whilst removing all our God-given rights and freedoms in a handover to a police state. All because of the flu. A flu that history will record is not unlike any other flu or plague throughout history. What was needed was an airtight alibi to further corrupt the dollar. COVID-19 fits the bill. The restrictions too will need to continue, for if they don't, a new excuse will be needed to continue further easing, which will most certainly be the case. Dr. Fauci, who is linked to Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Hillary Clinton Foundation, Chinese Communist Party, CDC, WHO, Chan Zuckerberg Global Initiative, etc., but humanity everywhere has had enough and now is fighting back. Protests against the quarantines are appearing globally, but are being downplayed by the fakestream media. The workforce in our country will never be the same. Economic irreparable damage has been done to many, and they are exaggerating the numbers by changing the causes of death from other diseases to COVID-19. Quote from CDC's guidance for certifying deaths due to COVID-19, ideally, testing for COVID-19 should be conducted, but it is acceptable to report COVID-19 on a death certificate without this confirmation if the circumstances are compelling within a reasonable degree of certainty. Dr. Marcus Placia, Chief Medical Officer for the Association of State and Territorial Health Officials, said if a heart attack patient is pronounced dead and is tested positive for COVID-19, I would put COVID-19 as the primary cause.